Good morning, freedom fighters. It is 7:40 a.m. East Coast time on November 30th, 2024. As we can see already this morning off the state of Georgia, we have some very unusual chemtrail operations. Very tiny spurts. Does not make any sense, but it is chemtrails nonetheless. Doesn't look like much, but that might be, 25-mile spurts. But down here as well, they have it. Don't know their game plan, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. Every bit of these weather control operations are run by the CIA. The CIA is central. Just like our banking system is not owned by the United States, it is central. The Rothschilds fan club, the Illuminati. Even the eagle is a symbol of the Illuminati. But I want to go over a video I just discovered. Veterans Disability Lawyers. Very first video I've ever seen from them. I subscribed immediately because I want to know the truth. The truth is that this company here needs to be shut down. This is why Kennedy was assassinated when he said he was going to disband the CIA into a million pieces. They murdered him. That is the only reason he was killed. Stand by for the truth of this incredible, brave lawyer, military lawyer. Stand by. Must see this. There's really not a whole lot going on with the weather right now since we're all getting this extreme cold. It is 46 degrees this morning in Florida, which is unusual for November. It's going to be in the 30s actually this week, I think I've seen. I really pray for everybody. Yes, Tuesday it will be 39 degrees here in Florida, which is pretty cold. But please watch this and understand that the CIA controls our weather and they're most evil people. They have nothing to do with the United States government. We have no oversight for the CIA. Commercial fisherman out. Please watch this incredible story of the CIA destroying people's lives, I guess, or lying as another great example of what this is truly about. Thank you to the Warriors, and please let me know what you think about it.
It was in 1969. I had permissive travel orders. I could go anywhere in Vietnam and defend anybody charged with anything. But this was different. My boss said, "Hey Barry, I guess it's going to be a good case because they won't even give me the name of your client." I said, "Sir?" He says, "You won't need your Tiger Scout interpreter because you're just going to Long Binh." So I'm in Long Binh and I get to go to the staff judge advocate's office. "Well, Captain Barry," yeah, right, that's me. "I am assigning you to a top secret case. You will not discuss this case with anyone. You will not even divulge his name." "Oh, really?" "Yeah, that amendment about an open and speedy trial, an open trial, I guess that old Constitution that you and I promised to protect, I guess that's not in operation. You will say you were there to see number 5. Number 5? They take me to one of those crappy little steel container buildings with a little slit at the floor they could slip food under. And this little bench where a guy's sitting, and he opens it and he says, "I'm charged with murder and conspiracy to commit murder." And I said, "Okay, I'm your lawyer. You can tell me. I know you've been ordered not to talk. I've been ordered not to talk. But what the hell's going on?" He said, "You sound a little belligerent." And I said, "I am." And he said, "Good." Then we exchanged some words. And here's what happened. We were operating in violation of a trilateral agreement, landing in Cambodia. The missions were all top secret because we were violating the law by going. Usually when we sent someone into Cambodia, you'd go in sterile, no name tag, not the kind around your neck, not the kind on your uniform. No American weapon, usually a Swedish K. But now we were sending helicopters over there, and guess what? People were waiting for them. And when they landed, they were all killed. There was a leak. Well, they found out who the double or triple agent was. So a couple of the boys of the defendants went into Saigon to talk to the CIA. They said, look, you're the spooks. How do we get rid of this guy and integrate him, and can you send him to an island or something? The CIA said, terminate with extreme prejudice. These guys said, you're telling us to kill an unarmed man? Yeah, that's a direct order. You will kill this double or triple agent immediately. Here's how you'll cover it up. You'll take an Asian American, put this guy's name tag on him, put him in a Vietnamese uniform, and have him fly from one place to another and sign in as this and that. And you'll run a rehearsal. You do it this way, they set it out. But the orders were they'd take him out, they'd shoot him up with morphine. Now that sounds nice, right? Nope. So you'll bleed faster. The sharks will get to your body quicker. Shoot him, wrap chains around him, dump him into the South China Sea, and come on back in. Well, they did it. Colonel Bob Rowe noticed that his men were missing, and he said, went to a general. General Mabry said, what the hell's going on? Mabry said, we think these men were involved in a murder, a conspiracy to commit murder, and we're locking them up. Bob Rowe said, no, I'm chain of command. If you want someone locked up, you go through me, because I'm responsible for the actions of my men. General Mabry said, maybe we'll lock you up. Rowe said, you're goddamn right you should, if you expect to keep it quiet that you're picking up my men. So they did. So here's Bob Rowe, Boston Social Register, multimillionaire, full colonel, West Point ring knocker, commander of all the Green Berets in Vietnam. When he's locked up in there, the first thing I did was find out who everybody's lawyer was. I admitted, in violation of a direct order. The next thing I did was see if the lawyers would talk to me. Well, they were scared of the direct orders, but not Marty Linsky and not Bill Hart. We got together. We're trial lawyers. If you're going to charge our men with conspiracy, we're going to conspire ourselves. We're going to find out what the hell's going on. Now, in the meantime, there's a parallel set of facts going on. Prosecution, now that the word's out, starts leaking. We're sworn to secrecy. The defense is, but the prosecution starts leaking their case. And bit by bit, it's getting in the press. I said, to hell with it. I got LaPista to drive me into Saigon, and I talked to everybody. I was on Walter Cronkite. I was on Huntley Brinkley. I gave the complete defense story. We had our Article 32 hearing, which is, it's comparable to a grand jury hearing in civilian life. Well, we went in there and the CIA came in and lied, and they lied, and they lied, and they lied. You think that you're going to try this case without admitting to the American public how this war is being waged? You could have a fair trial or you can have a closed trial, but you're not getting both. Finally, Secretary of Defense Melvin Laird decided they couldn't do both. A guy named David Hume Kennerly, who won the Pulitzer. In 1990, he gave me a signed copy of his book, and he wrote to Steve Berry, who's been there. And he felt about being a photographer as an agent for the truth, as I felt about being a lawyer as an agent for justice. In the Green Beret case, that was a good test. Now, am I here to say, oh, I passed it? No, I'm here to say justice passed it. Justice passed. Justice passed that test. Thank you, Lord.
Yes, thank you, Lord, for people like him. What an incredible story of deception and lying by these evil people. Would you like to see some more? I have another case. I would never let my child go in the military when they used them just like that, if I had one. This is actually a little better information about the CIA. It's a short clip from out of uh, Out of Shadows about the devil worship that's going on in our government and all. That's why we're doing this. These people believe in the devil. They pushed everyone away from God. The greatest trick the devil's ever pulled is convince everybody he does not exist. Let's watch some of the devil's tools of mind control. People don't believe there's lasers in outer space, and most everybody don't understand the real war of mind control. Hypnosis is real. Everybody is under hypnosis, and you got to break it free. Once I broke free of it, I don't want it no more. I don't want their football games. I can't stand to watch it. Why I left Thanksgiving dinner so early 2 days ago. They were holding their hands to their heart, listening to the fake trumpet guy play. I was like, look, he's not even blowing anymore. The music's still playing. It's fake. Everything's fake on TV. And I left. I left my family's thing. They're so hypnosed. I can't stand the hypnosis. Please watch this incredible 11-minute video of hypnosis. Of all of it. I'm not even sure. I haven't watched it in a while, so I'm gonna watch it with y'all. Thank you to the Warriors in 11 minutes. We must learn the truth. That's all I'm doing here. Thank you to the Warriors.
Aquino's thesis stated that enemy populations could be subdued by inflicting a state of psychological terror and feelings of imminent destruction. He discusses the use of psychotronic weapons and electromagnetic weapons that influence the mind. By extremely low frequency signals, piggybacked on broadcasts of radio, TV, or microwave communications in order to influence and manipulate the thoughts and feelings of the target population. These ongoing MK-Ultra operations are functioning as a counterinsurgency and infiltration operation aimed at destabilizing the United States and other industrialized nations.
I give the CIA a total credit for sponsoring and initiating the entire consciousness movement, counterculture events of the 1960s.
History will judge the role of the CIA and other intelligence agencies in unwittingly contributing to the counterculture of the 60s through their intense interest in LSD and other hallucinogenics. But for the moment at least, the argument can be made that the CIA helped usher in the age of Aquarius.
Laurel Canyon was the epitome of the summer of love. I mean, we saw the possibility of a way we could live.
It's odd because in Laurel Canyon, so many of the soon-to-be stars there, their parents were in either the military-industrial complex or intelligence or the Pentagon. In Frank Zappa's case, his dad was working at Edgewood Arsenal, where they were doing biochem studies, psychotropic, and exposing U.S. troops to VX nerve gas and other things. The family kept gas masks in their house. He grew up with that in case there was an accident. And Edgewood Arsenal was doing this very similar related MK-Ultra projects on U.S. troops. The Gulf of Tonkin is another prime example. The commander of the Gulf Fleet in the Gulf of Tonkin, his son was Jim Morrison. They claimed the USS Maddox was attacked by Vietnamese vessels. It was never attacked. As a matter of fact, they put ghost ships on the radar to make it look like they were Vietnamese ships. The Maddox was never attacked. It was an actual, literal false flag to enable the U.S. to declare war on Vietnam. So Jim Morrison's dad was involved in the false flag of the Gulf of Tonkin.
After talking to Kevin, I started looking into Laurel Canyon. I drove down Laurel Canyon to Hollywood almost daily when I first moved out there. And I never knew that there was an old Air Force base called Lookout Mountain U.S. Air Force Base at the top of Laurel Canyon. And what's funny is, if you do the history of it, it's owned today by a guy named Jared Leto.
Another tactic developed out of the MK Ultra project was the use of compromise and control via honeypots.
The decision was made to do testing on unwitting victims. It was decided they should be on the fringes of society because they were most vulnerable.
We did quite a study of prostitutes and their behavior. How do you take a woman who is willing to use her body to get money out of a guy to get him to talk about things which are much more important, like state secrets? We learned a lot about human nature in the bedroom. We started to pick up knowledge that could be used in operations.
There would be victims in all of this. As one agency memo says, we have no answer to the moral question.
That's one of the CIA's favorite tactic, are honeypots. And I work with CIA psychologists, and they're dirty.
I always felt that every house should have its own secret panel.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I see. You lift this up.
Mm-hmm. This is a trap door. Opens up and looks into the cave, or what time is called the Wu Grotto.
Oh, boy.
They're running blackmail operations where they're getting very well-known government and private industry elite people in compromising positions at the Playboy Mansion, on Epstein's plane, on Orgy Island, and they're photographing them. And after that, it's like Congressman so-and-so or CEO so-and-so. I wouldn't bring that up if I was you, because we got photographs of you with a 14-year-old girl on Epstein's plane, for example. And you talk about shutting somebody up permanently, that's how they do it.
What happens in the grotto stays in the grotto.
Okay.
Look, it's pretty simple if you think about it. To control the population, you have to control the people messaging the population. Some of these stars have 20, 30 million followers. That's more followers than CNN, Fox, ABC, NBC. These people have to be controlled. They can't just go off a message and start saying whatever they want to say. They have to be somewhat reined in. They have to be controlled, or they do not get the platform to have the voice that they have.
Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets. And they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. And by the way, it's the same big club they use to beat you over the head with all day long when they tell you what to believe. All day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged. And nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. Good, honest, hard-working people, white collar, blue collar, doesn't matter what color shirt you have on. Good, honest, hard-working people continue. These are people of modest means. Continue to elect these rich cocksuckers who don't give a fuck about them. They don't care about you at all, at all, at all. Man, you know? And nobody seems to notice, nobody seems to care. That's what the owners count on, the fact that Americans will probably remain willfully ignorant because the owners of this country know the truth. It's called the American dream because you have to be asleep to believe it.
If you stop for a second and you just look at the bigger picture and you check out for a minute and you kind of compare the ancient times to today, well, back then they had like what, demigods and gods. They were like Achilles, Hercules, Apollo, Mercury. All these were demigods. And that's who the people in those days looked up to. Well, today we have all these people like Jay-Z, Rihanna, Beyonce, Lady Gaga, Katy Perry. In film, we have Brad Pitt, Will Smith. We have all these big stars. And the way they prop them up and they put them up on stage is like they're gods or demigods.
In this room are some of the most important TV and film executives in the world. People from every background, but they all have one thing in common. They're all terrified of Ronan Farrow. He's coming for you. He's coming for you. Look, talking of all you perverts, it was a big year. It was a big year for paedophile movies. Surviving R. Kelly, Leaving Neverland, 2 popes. Shut up. Shut up. I don't care. I don't care.
Most people don't want to cross the psychological line that this stuff is going on. And we all have a mental defense mechanism. It's like finally admitting there's an elite pedophile ring. I mean, most people just don't want to go there. And the same is here. Psychologically, you lose your safety, your security, and whatever innocence you have when you realize that this stuff is really going on. And it's a chore to cross over that barrier and realize, oh my gosh, this stuff is really happening. And that's why it takes critical thinking. The people have got to look at this stuff critically and see what they're being fed so they can cross that psychological line that they just refuse to see it when it's right in front of them.
When Kevin said there's an elite pedophile ring, well, I'm thinking to myself, this is a hard thing for me to come to terms with. Now, it made me start thinking about conversations and things I'd heard, but I'd never saw it. It's not out in the open. And to me, I was like, no one could do that. Because, I mean, if I saw someone hurting a kid, I would kill them. I mean, I would literally kill them. I would never allow someone to hurt a child in front of me. Things Kevin was saying were things that were hard for me to cross the barrier. I did not want to believe it. I didn't want to go there. But as I went down this journey, I forced myself to go consider, what if this is real? And the only person that was talking about this stuff was a girl named Liz Crokin. And the media had declared her completely out of her mind. But as I started researching some of the things she was reporting on, I was like, there's truth to what she's saying. So I want to talk to her.
I started working in journalism at a very young age. I got my first job working for Fox Chicago at about the age of 17 years old. At the University of Iowa, I studied political science and journalism. One semester, I interned for Bill O'Reilly at Fox News Channel. My last year in college, I interned for the State Department's White House reporter, and that placed me reporting in the White House every single day for a few months. I went on to work for the Chicago Tribune, and my first boss there told me that everything that I should get should be checked over and over and over again and verified to death. That's how I was trained, and that's what a true, honest journalist does. I started covering local politics and local hard news, and then eventually I got my own column for 7 years where I interviewed tons of celebrities and politicians and musicians, and worked at Us Weekly, and then at one point I worked at In Touch Weekly magazine. But then in 2015, I felt the need to get back into covering hard news, and in early 2016 I started working for Town Hall, and then eventually I started working for the New York Observer and broke a lot of election related stories.
Okay, my freedom fighter friends. I'd never wanted to show the rest of this because it's so horrible about what she's going to tell us, but y'all need to know the rest of it. Sorry for the long to be continued thing, but that was the end of a video. I just trying to get the message out, you know. This is from Out of Shadows on Rumble. They removed it from YouTube, I think. I cannot find it on there. Really good hour and 17-minute video. Sorry for being so raw. I'm just a fisherman that's trying to get the truth out too. Thank you to the Warriors at 24 minutes. This needs to be seen. So I'm going to start where my video just left off with her talking. Back ahead. But I just didn't want to interrupt her there. So I'll try to start at the same spot here. Stand by, and thank you to the Warriors that wants to know this information.
I started covering local politics and local hard news, and then eventually I got my own column for 7 years where I interviewed tons of celebrities and politicians and musicians, and worked at Us Weekly, and then at one point I worked at In Touch Weekly magazine. But then in 2015, I felt the need to get back into covering hard news, and in early 2016 I started working for Town Hall, and then eventually I started working for the New York Observer and broke a lot of election-related stories. I worked in media for over 2 decades, and I never had any issues. I was very well respected. I basically was embraced by the mainstream media until I started reporting on Pizzagate. Now, when Pizzagate came out, the media tried to turn Pizzagate into something that wasn't.
Surprises of the presidential campaign was the explosion of fake news on the internet.
28-year-old Edgar Welch was arrested in Washington Sunday afternoon outside Comet Ping Pong, a popular family pizza parlor. D.C. police say Welch fired at least 1 round into the restaurant floor with an AR-15 rifle like this one on his Facebook page. No one was injured.
Someone on Twitter, whose name remains unverified but has several thousand followers, posted that new emails found on Anthony Weiner's computer confirmed that Hillary Clinton was involved in a pedophilia ring. The rumor spread, inspiring some newfound internet sleuths to start digging around in John Podesta's hacked emails, searching for proof and location of the so-called sex ring.
In those emails, they are absolutely littered with code words, and many of these code words are food words such as pizza.
Somebody said to me, "Hey Dave, search for pizza in Podesta's emails. And once you go down that rabbit hole, you never really emerge the same person."
It was obvious from the get-go that these words were code words for something else, because the context that they were used in did not make sense.
To be clear, not one single email in the Podesta emails discusses child sex trafficking or pedophilia. That is a fact. But there are dozens of what seem to be strangely worded emails dealing with pizza and handkerchiefs. Investigators say that those words in the emails about pizza and the talk of handkerchiefs is code language used by pedophiles.
There is some kind of code language. They're just not talking about pizza, folks. Who phrases that? Who blocks out an hour of time to eat a slice of pizza?
You can get a service for a half an hour, you can get a massage for a half an hour, but you can't get food for a half an hour. It just absolutely makes no sense.
There's other ones like, the realtor found a handkerchief. I think it has a map that seems pizza related. And another one is, Obama spent $65,000 flying in pizza and hot dogs from Chicago. Are we using the same channels?
Pizza is a well-known pedophile code word that actually has been used by law enforcement to arrest online sexual predators of children. And there's been multiple arrests that have been made by law enforcement of pedophiles trying to solicit children by using the pedophile code word pizza.
2007 unclassified FBI document. That document, according to the FBI, contains commonly used symbols by pedophiles to express their preference in children. Notice this one on the end, the triangle. That image signifies something called boy love. The pizza place next door to Comet Ping Pong Pizza, Besta Pizza, well, this was their logo until only a few weeks ago.
People don't know that because the mainstream media refuses to cover it.
The entire mainstream media redefined what Pizzagate was to make it sound ridiculous and less believable. And then they had people like Megyn Kelly come in, interview James Alefantis, didn't ask him any challenging questions.
A conspiracy theory that even the DC police say has no basis in fact.
She didn't ask him any questions about the pictures of children on his Instagram page looking abused, being sexualized. She didn't ask him about the pedophile talk. So the whole mainstream media painted him as this poor victim, as this person that was innocent, that was just victimized, as something that wasn't true. But just his Instagram page alone should have been enough for authorities to look into him.
Investigators have already proven there's nothing to the story, right? Well, actually, no. And that's what you need to know. For all that is here, there has not been one single public investigation of any of this. Not from local police, not from the FBI, no one. And that has to be the big question. not for Podesta or for pizza parlor owners, but for law enforcement, based on what may be or may not be here. The big question is, why hasn't any investigation taken place?
This is insane.
So many people in the mainstream media have said Pizzagate is a conspiracy theory. Pizzagate has been debunked. It has not been debunked. If it's been debunked, explain the code words. No one to this day, including John Podesta himself, can explain the code words in his emails.
Hey, John Podesta, can you please explain why you have children rented for entertainment for your adult hot tub parties? No one has ever explained why John Podesta has literal pedophile and cannibalism paintings all over his office and his home. Tony Podesta too. And then you look into the spirit cooking dinners, and you look into Marina Abramovic, who's the one that was conducting the spirit cooking dinners. Why are they going to spirit cooking dinners? Why are they sacrificing chickens to Moloch in their backyard? This isn't my words, this is their words. This is in their emails.
I'd be willing to debate anyone who thinks that Pizzagate has been debunked.
You asked me when how am I getting additional briefings? That was the first and last time I talked.
So October 9th is the last time you've heard from the FBI at all?
Yes.
You have not got an update on the investigation to your personal email?
That is correct.
So not only did the mainstream media lie to you about Pizzagate, they actually told you that it was illegal to read John Podesta's emails on WikiLeaks. Chris Cuomo, with a straight face on CNN, looked into the cameras and said, it's illegal for you to read John Podesta's emails.
Also interesting is, remember, it's illegal to possess these stolen documents. It's different for the media. So everything you learn about this, you're learning from us.
That's how scared they are of those emails. And that's how explosive the content in those emails are. That they felt the need that they had to tell you, you could not read those emails, and if you do, you might get arrested. Lie.
It's different for the media. So everything you learn about this, you're learning from us.
People that blow the whistle on elite pedophiles tend to have accidents, and a lot of those people have died mysteriously.
NBC News has learned that disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein is dead. Epstein took his own life while he was behind bars.
There's absolutely no excuse for this. What happened here, to me, is mind-boggling. The guy was a high-risk prisoner, wasn't he? I mean, he's a guy that there are probably 50 very important people that have a motive to kill him. We don't even know who they are. It's true. But we know there are some people that are in a lot of trouble because of Epstein. They know who they are.
His flight logs contain names of some of the biggest, most famous, and most powerful people on the planet. Members of the royal family, Prince Andrew, models like Naomi Campbell, famous actors like Kevin Spacey, Bill Clinton on those flight logs over 25 times. Hillary Clinton, she's also been to the island. So the bigger question is, how many people that went on his private jet, that went to his private island, that went to his massive ranch in New Mexico were also involved in the rape, torture, and trafficking of children?
It hides in plain sight. Epstein was hiding in plain sight. We all knew about him. We all knew what he was doing. But we had no one that was, legal aspect that would go after him. They were afraid of him. For whatever reason, they were afraid of him.
And the amazing thing about Cindy McCain is that her husband was a senator. She was on a board with the governor of Texas. She knew about Jeffrey Epstein. She did nothing. And her organization, the role of her organization is supposed to be to stop people like Jeffrey Epstein. They all knew. They did nothing about it. When Ricky Gervais said at the Golden Globes, you're all friends with Jeffrey Epstein, he wasn't lying.
So in the end, he obviously didn't kill himself, just like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up. I know he's your friend, but I don't care. You had to make your own way here in your own plane, didn't you? Right, but...
And how many of those elites have been to his island? Not only is the mainstream media complicit I would argue that they're accessories in the crimes against children.
She told me everything. She had pictures, she had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton, we had everything. I tried for 3 years to get it on, to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I freaking had all of it. I'm so pissed right now. Like, every day I get more and more pissed because I'm just like, oh my God, what we had was unreal. Brad Edwards, the attorney, 3 years ago, saying there will come a day when we will realize Jeffrey Epstein was the most prolific pedophile this country has ever known. And I had it all 3 years ago.
Then what happened in early 2018? Keith Raniere, who ran the NXIVM child sex trafficking cult, was arrested. Who else was arrested? Allison Mack. She's a famous celebrity who was on Smallville. She was also arrested for being a member of this cult that was involved in trafficking children. And not only trafficking children, they were running preschools down in Mexico. And NXIVM is another example of how these elite pedophile rings exist, because this was a massive organization. This was funded by really wealthy people, including the Seagram heiresses, Nancy Salzman and Claire Bronfman. So obviously they were using those preschools to traffic children. And the cult also engaged in human torture experiments on some of their members. And there actually was a civil lawsuit that was filed by 90 of their victims just the other day. So I imagine we are going to hear more about the human experiments, the torturing, the sexual abuse, and the child sex trafficking in this civil lawsuit. And a lot of the techniques that we see in this cult are very similar to the techniques that our government used in the MKUltra program.
He was branding women with Keith's initials, and they were like, well, what's the bad thing exactly about that? Everyone in the outside world, aka the real world, is like, they're branding women? So I left, I went to the executive board, and I said, I want my photos back, I want my videos back, the branding session was filmed, I want all of that back, I want my collateral back. None of that happened.
And it's the same fear, mind control, and you'll be destroyed if you get into the upper elites. And if you get to that point, if you start revealing anything, they have the same system to completely destroy you, destroy your career, blackmail you like Epstein, catch you, film you in compromising positions. And this goes both within Hollywood and celebrities and some of the elite. And it also goes on in Congress and the Senate. And if they even insinuate that they're going to reveal some of these things, they're done.
A lot of people here tonight felt like they lost. You know why? Because y'all been lied to. Google lied to you. Google. Facebook lied to you. Radio lied to you.
The powerful people that be, whether it's the music industry or the movie industry, you are only allowed a certain level of success if you are willing to join their club, if you're willing to be part of their secret society, or if you're compromised. They will not let someone obtain a lot of fame and power if they can't control you.
A classic example, at least for me, is Katy Perry. Katy Perry was a gospel singer, very talented, but she was going nowhere. And she got up to Hollywood, and basically they said, you want to be a success? You play by our rules. You step into the occult, and you start putting that in your videos. And now she's doing videos with her in hell, with satanic themes, and she's what? Highly successful. You see that over with Lady Gaga, who came out and actually said she was so tired of being handled and manipulated, she had to take a break.
That this is this young, outrageous girl, wears strange clothes. She's into extremes. She's experimental. She have 43 million people on the Twitter following her, whatever she do, little monsters. And she came really very humble to my house and asked me if I can teach her. We made this workshop in the woods, and she was such a good student. She never cheated. She really went much farther than I asked her for.
She is a limitless human being. As myself, a self-proclaimed pop performance artist, want to go home and slit my wrists, and I am nothing. I have achieved no sense of art. She is so boundless.
Čuj za performance zbog Lady Gaga odjednom su počeli da se interesuju za moj rad, tako da je prešla sam iz te, mislim, normalne kulture u mas kulturu, što je...
Marina Abramovic, of course, is in the Podesta emails, and she's the one that conducts the spirit cooking dinners. She said that Marina did an exercise with her where she stripped her completely naked and left her in the middle of the woods to fend for herself and find her way back. Those are the kinds of things that people who are behind the MK Ultra programs do to children that they're mind controlling. We know Marina Abramovic is a Satanist. You Google Marina Abramovic's name in spirit cooking and you will find hundreds of pictures of Marina Abramovic's events where they will have, for example, a cake that looks like a human being and they'll depict human cannibalism, and they claim they're not engaging in cannibalism. And you will find A-list actors and famous politicians and other very famous and successful, powerful business people at her events. They literally have food that look like human beings on dinner tables.
He's Italian and Greek, I mean, you know.
And a very good cook.
And a very good cook. And I'm sure there's something very nefarious about that risotto recipe. So...
After I started researching the cult, I learned that Satanists believe that they have to reveal who they are in some way, shape, or form. So that is why we see a lot of these occult members in Hollywood constantly flaunting symbolism. We see the pyramid, the Illuminati pyramid a lot. We see the evil one eye constantly. It's always on the cover of magazines. We see these are supposed to be the 666 devil symbols. We constantly see those symbols. We also see pedophile symbols, the swirl or the triangle within a triangle.
I guarantee this wasn't his purse.
And we also see a lot of these members of the cult go on their social media and they talk about raping children. They talk about worshiping Satan. And people write it off as a joke, but they're not joking. I don't care if you're a major comedian. You can't tell me that's funny, because there is no joke about raping children that's funny.
You don't know what that is.
I have no idea.
You don't know. Jimmy Fallon doesn't know. David Letterman doesn't know.
We don't know.
All the comics and show business don't know what this is.
Takes guts to put out a film that does this, because no one's done it up until now. But when that's done and people see these facts and they say, my gosh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that about the Gulf of Tonkin. I didn't know that about the Vietnam War. My gosh. And they go in, they check it out, and it's all true. And now they're seeing the dots. And a good film will teach them how to practice critical thinking, to analyze what you're watching. If we can get people to analyze what they're watching, we've crossed a huge hurdle, because once they start analyzing it, they're going to see the dots, and typically the dots will connect themselves.
Liz Crokin put herself so far out in front that she was mocked. She was laughed at. She was called crazy. Well, let me ask you a question. For all those people that did that to Liz, does she seem so crazy now?
When you put all of those facts together and you use critical thinking, you realize this stuff is real. There's not one smoking gun. There's many small smoking guns that you have to piece together, and you have to use critical thinking to understand this stuff is real. So again, the bigger question is, now that Jeffrey Epstein's been exposed and he's allegedly dead, how many of his friends that were frequent visitors on his sex trafficking islands were also involved in the rape, torture, and trafficking of children. And that's what Pizzagate is.
I guess what I'm asking you all to do is just disconnect for a second, stand back, look at the lyrics of your songs, look at the agendas of the movies, look at the messages of the media that you're absorbing. Because it's impossible to say that all of it's bad, like all of Hollywood's bad. That's not true. Like it's like saying all of the CIA is bad. There's a lot of good people that work in both industries that aren't bad people. But if the people that control the narratives and the agendas are not good people, and they have different agendas, they can put that on you and you won't even notice it unless you stand back and look at things objectively.
I can't compromise anymore. That for me, that's not what life's about. I want to send a good message to my kids, and I want them to know that at the end of the day, their dad did what was right. And their dad fought for the good things in life. If I could ever get the opportunity to make movies that send out good messages, and then people start realizing that they can be good and that they can jump on the bandwagon of good, that's the next phase. People start believing it. It's the same thing with desensitizing with the violence. People start believing that it's okay to kill somebody, or watching somebody die isn't a big deal. When people aren't helping other people in need on the streets, there's a problem in this world. But this could all be changed right now. The reason why I'm doing this documentary is because I want to be one of the first people to come out and say, hey, it doesn't have to be like this. We are good people. Humans are good, and we can make the world a better place. Because the money and the technology to make this world a better place is there. It's just been covered up and controlled for so long that it's time for it all to come out. And maybe I'm the catalyst for something better.
What does the media look like in the future? Well, to me, what I would hope is that it's not filtered. I would love to build a platform or build some sort of system where artists could connect directly to their audience. I want to make products and tell stories that bring humanity together, that bring compassion, that bring love, that bring forgiveness, that bring inspiration and courage back to the audience without having the influence of violence or gratuitous sex or gratuitous death or gratuitous horror. Because those are things and images that get stored in our psyche and our soul, and I don't think that's the way that this earth was intended to be.
What a fantastic job. What a fantastic job these people did exposing true evil that is going on. Everyone is under hypnosis. No one should be watching football games at this point in time. Everything is scripted, even down to their injuries. I have heard them say it over and over again, these football players. It is a show. The evil that lies ahead, the starvation and all that, I really do see coming because it's inevitable. They repeat history. Everything was repeated 100 years ago. The stock market will collapse probably in 29, just like in 1929. The pandemic came out in 1818. Well, our COVID-19 was supposed to come out in 2018. That's why it was called COVID-19. They never changed the name of it, even though it was delayed for 12 months. There is so much evil out here, my friends. All of our governments are centrally controlled. That's what CIA is. This could not be any more true. They've taken over our food. my seafood industry. I'm not able to provide food anymore. The amount of food I used to provide, it's gone. You know, that's huge. And they're flooding farms, burning lands. We got to wake up the masses, or we are going to go through hell. We will lose everything. I mean, your lands, you will lose it all. Your life, you can't take it with you. Somebody keeps telling me to have faith in the Lord, you know, make sure you are believing in the Lord, you know, and they're absolutely correct. Make sure you understand why they pushed you away from God. With God in our hearts, we could never do this to each other. Thank you, Lord, for saving me. That's an incredible story in itself. Commercial fishermen standing by. I hope y'all watch this to the end. Please let me know who did. We must know the truth, even how horrible it truly is, that we are run by truly evil people who are in control. Probably just a few boxes of ammunition can set everything straight, but you got to have the people to do it. Massive uprisings, in my opinion. Commercial fishermen standing by. Please, someone stop this nightmare that I see. Protect the children. Commercial fishermen out.